But joining me is a top lawyer who worked with Donald Trump as his Attorney General and wrote about it in his terrific memoirs, which, oh, there it is, one damn thing after another. Here's William Barr, and he joined me earlier. William Barr, thank you so much for your time. We've seen Kamala Harris warn before the election that Donald Trump will be a dictator. Today, in conceding, she said it seems to many Americans that they're now entering a dark time. Oprah Winfrey at the last Harris campaign actually said, well, this might be the last chance that anyone gets to vote in their lives. It's quite extraordinary. What do you expect now to happen? What did you make of that rhetoric?
Well, I think it's preposterous. I worked with him. I've had disagreements with him. But he's not a fascist, as they say. He's been president for 4 years. I was attorney general for 2 of those years. He acted within the law. He didn't go after people or abuse the law to go after people. So it's preposterous. And I think the reason we've heard so much about it is because otherwise they have nothing to talk about. They have a terrible record that they can't defend, that people don't like. And they had no specific ideas of how to move forward. As I've repeatedly said, I think the real threat to freedom and democracy is not from conservatism. It is from the progressive left that uses coercive power and to press people to act the way they want them to act and conform to what they think people should do.
It's a very damaging campaign that the Democrats have launched, not just to get Kamala Harris elected, but in fact to damage America.
Well, yes, but it has poetic justice at the end, because I think the big picture here is that the decisive factor in American politics for the last 20 or 30 years has been the sharp shift of the Democratic Party to the left and the ascendancy of progressivism in the Democratic Party. And there has finally been a strong reaction against it. They've been crushed in an election, and the 2 institutions that are going to suffer from this are the progressive Democrats and the corrupt mainstream media that are essentially political actors and have lost all credibility as an institution.
On the corruption of institutions, it seems to me, it's incredible that Donald Trump won after so many attempts to destroy him. We had the 2 assassination attempts, of course, but there are also those 4 attempts by Democrat prosecutors to get him jailed or disqualified, or at least laughed at, convicted as a criminal, so he would look like, looked terrible to vote for such a man, and all for, like trying to steal the last election, for bookkeeping errors, I ask you, for keeping classified documents at home. I mean, they seem highly political prosecutions. What should happen now to those 4 cases?
Under our law, you can't have these kinds of cases brought against a sitting president or maintained against a sitting president while he's in office, because it interferes with his ability to conduct the public business. These cases, the state cases, I think, are completely insubstantial and, as you said, political. The federal cases have fallen apart. There have been a series of court rulings that have essentially shredded them. They're like pieces of Swiss cheese. The chances of them prevailing in these cases are minimal. And they're no longer really serious cases. So what's the point of maintaining them? And I think the Department of Justice will just drop the federal cases. We'll see how the state prosecutors treat theirs. But at the end of the day, they're not going to be able to hurt Trump with these cases.
When Donald Trump first became president, he made a whole lot of bad picks for his first team. It was really a disaster, particularly Chief of Staff office for a start. It took him ages to get to good performers, like, may I say, like you, like Mike Pompeo. I'm already worried, I've got to be honest, that is saying that Robert Kennedy Jr. is going to get a job this time. He seems a bit of a kook to me. But what do you think his cabinet will look like? Will it be an improvement on what he started with last time?
I actually think he'll be able to attract some good people. The names I'm hearing bandied about are substantial people with good experience, and there are people interested in going into most of the positions. The real thing isn't so much who's holding those jobs, but the people who he's listening to, and whether there are a lot of sort of people in the peanut gallery, who talk in his ear and the last people to speak to him and maneuvering and so forth, but they don't have any real knowledge or responsibility. And that is more the phenomenon that people have to keep their eye out for. I'm hoping that now that he's vindicated himself in this election, that and should go down in history as a major figure, he will buckle down and run a serious administration.
I hope that includes getting Tucker Carlson, kicking him out of the inner circle, because that guy is completely nuts, believing that America's being punished with hurricanes for abortion, for instance. I mean, that guy is a menace. You had battles with Donald Trump as his Attorney General. You quit when he refused to believe you. When you said to him he wasn't beaten by electoral fraud last time. What's your advice with people of thinking of serving his administration this time around?
Look, don't go and take a job in government if you basically need to make a living afterwards, and you're really looking ahead to say, how is this job going to help me in the future? You have to be willing to go into retirement after your job, essentially. Because otherwise you'll make decisions based on, that self-interest, and to protect yourself or to, please the boss or what have you. And you just have to, on matters of principle, be willing to stand your ground and take the hit. If the president, if you think he's making a mistake in the policy terms, he's entitled to make mistakes. He's entitled to set policy, even policies his people don't agree with. And you have to be used to working for, and most, in government this happens frequently. Some of you don't necessarily agree with on the substance of the policy. I actually agreed with most of his policies. What you have to watch for is whether you're asked to cut corners and do things that are improper. And I didn't see that problem. And I won't even say until, the problem was after the election, I didn't think that it had been stolen by fraud, and I wasn't going to go down that track. And he didn't fire me. I ultimately, I left because I thought the game was over, and that was that. He lost the election, and I left before January 6th. But, this idea that he's constantly trying to ask people to do things that are improper, I didn't see that.
Well, I must say, your book on all that, particularly on your last days with Trump, fascinating reading. But in fact, the whole memoir, One Damn Thing After Another, I highly recommend. I've recommended it before. William Barr, thank you so much indeed for coming on the show. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Andrew.